This is Season 2, Episode 19, Songs 1640 to 1621.
Christopher Williams, Billboard Top 3000 Countdown. Yeah. Every chorus, every hook you know by heart. Christopher Williams, Billboard Top 3000 Countdown. From number one to the ones that lit the charts.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chris's Billboard Top 3000 Countdown podcast, where I discuss a set of songs that are ranked in Billboard's all-time countdown from 1958, August 4th, through the end of 2022, a span covering over 65 years of the rock era and over 13,500 songs that have hit the top 40 in that time span. Now, Billboard assigns a point value based on number of weeks in the chart, its peak position, and it's weighed through various eras throughout the rock era. The point values are all added up. They are ranked from most to least. We shave off the top 3,000 and then we discuss them here in sets of 20 per podcast. I hope you enjoy. In the 1980s, there were 231 songs that hit number one, starting in January of 1980 with KC's Please Don't Go and ending with Phil Collins' Another Day in Paradise in December of 1989. We've gone 68 episodes into this Top 3000 Countdown podcast, and we haven't heard a single one of them. Isn't that amazing? Of the 1,640 songs that remain, 14% of them are going to be number one songs from the 80s. And in the 69th episode, this one, we finally get to hear one. And it's the very first song, song number 1640. And it should be one of the 9 Michael Jackson number one hits. He has the most number one hits in the 80s. Oddly enough, only 2 off the Thriller album. He had one, Rock With You, off the Off the Wall album in 1980. He had the duet with Paul McCartney, Say, 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 and then Billie Jean and Beat It from the Thriller album. The other 5, a record, came from his follow-up album to Thriller, Bad, in 1987. This one is the 5th one, Dirty Diana. It's kind of the Bad version of Beat It, a little bit harder rock, a more aggressive guitar solo, but the lyrics in it sound a little like Billie Jean as it focuses on a slightly crazy groupie. It only spent 11 weeks in the top 40, but one of them, July 2nd, 1988, it hit number one. Our first number one song from the 80s, song number 1640, it's Dirty Diana, Michael Jackson.
I have the stuff that you want. I am the thing that you need. She looked me deep in the eyes. She touching me so to start. She says there's no turning back. She got me yelling. I'm Dirty Diana. No. Dirty Diana. No. Dirty Diana.
The most successful artist of the 80s, Michael Jackson, and there were a lot of strong candidates between Madonna and Prince, Daryl Hall and John Oates, but MJ, that was the 80s. One of 9 number one hits in that decade alone. Dirty Diana, song number 1640 on Billboard's Top 3000 Songs of All Time. He's got 11 hits left as either a solo performer or with a duet, and 5 more as with the Jackson 5, so a lot more Michael Jackson to come. And hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 69. Nice. The 80s are going to be our prime focus in this podcast and the next one. Of the next 40 songs that close up the 1600s, 16 of them are from the 80s. It's also very 70s centric. In this podcast, 13 of the 20 songs are from the 70s and the 80s, and another one from the year 1990. I know my prime listening group are 70s and 80s fans, so this is going to be a really good fun for you. We have an 80s song in here that didn't gain real popularity until the 2020s. You might know which song I'm talking about, but if not, stay tuned. But if you like this century's music, I got 5 tunes from the 2000s as well, so we do spray to all fields, though we don't really go back beyond 1970 too much, so a little bit more modern stuff. We have an artist who is more known for his comedy songs that actually hit number one with a more serious tune, a heartwarming tune. We'll get to that one too. Looking forward to going through these next 20 songs with you as we burrow through the 1600s and get closer and closer to the number one song of all time. time. The question that I asked the Facebook group is, what is one song that you absolutely love that hit number one from the 1980s? It was very tough for people to give me just one song because there's so many of them. For me, I agree with that. I was going to put I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, but then I decided on Private Eyes by Daryl Hall and John Oates. They're so close together for me, 1 and 2, but I'm going to adhere to my own rule and pick just one. So I picked Private Eyes. I got a lot of responses on that on the Facebook group, and our Facebook group is Chris Billboard Top 3000 Podcast Facebook group. If you're not a member, please request to join and I will invite you in. We've got 395 members and a whole bunch of wonderful activity about the charts, about Billboard, about music. Plus, I ask questions and give little clues about future podcasts. Got a lot of responses on this question, so come on board to the Facebook group and answer it, and you might be on this podcast. But let's continue on, and we'll stay in the 80s. Like I said, it's an 80s-centric podcast. And song number 1639, and this is from the 80s synth pop superstar. Well, you got to break that down because there's several of them in the 80s. Not one quite as deft on the keyboards as Howard Jones. In fact, his whole act is just synthesizers. Between 1984 and 1989, he hit the charts 8 different times, including 2 top 10s. We heard from him once, the number 4 hit No One Is to Blame, just a little while ago. It's song 1883. This is the best song of his career, a number 5 hit called Things Can Only Get Better. Spent 14 weeks in the top 40. It's Howard Jones' best hit. Let's hear it from the synth pop superstar at song number 1639. Jones has never stopped working, either as a songwriter or a producer, and even many recordings. He never hit the top 40 again after 1992, but still remains a heavy figure as one of the synth pop pioneers of the second British invasion of the 80s. And that's the best song of his career, and the last time we'll hear from him, unfortunately. I like Howard Jones. That is Things Can Only Get Better, song number 1639 on Billboard's Top 3000 Songs of All Time. So many artists have popped out of the children's performances of stations like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel that it's very weird to see them growing up and becoming adults and somewhat sexualized in the pop world. And that's the normal part of growing up, but it's still like watching your kids grow up. The show that was on my TV quite a bit for my younger sister was Kids Incorporated from 1984 to 1989. Stacey Ann Ferguson was one of the members of that in her preteen years, otherwise known as Fergie. She became a member of the Black Eyed Peas in 2002 when she was 27 years old, by then very much an adult. And then in 2006, she launched her solo debut album called The Duchess. This spawned several top 10 hits. We heard the number 5 hit Clumsy at song number 1825, but it also spawned 3 number 1s, Big Girls Don't Cry, Glamorous, and this song called London Bridge. And it's a sexualized song. It's a good one. I always remember the video where she's trying to seduce one of the immovable guards at Buckingham Palace. Always loved that scene. From August 19th to September 2nd, 2006, this song ruled the charts. It's song number 1638, Fergie, with London Bridge.
Come every time you come around my London Bridge, wanna go down like London, wanna go down like London, be going down like. How come every time you come around my London Bridge, wanna go down like London, wanna go down like.
Between her 5 top 5 hits from this album and the 10 top 40 hits, including the 2 massive number 1s that make up the Black Eyed Peas, you got to consider Fergie in the conversation for Best Female Artist of the Aughts. Definitely the second half of the aughts. That was Fergie with London Bridge, song number 1638 on Billboard's Top 3000 Songs of All Time. We're going to hear her 3 more times as a solo artist, her other 2 number 1s, and she has a number 2 in there as well called Fergalicious. So stay tuned. I had mentioned at the beginning of this podcast podcast about KC, or Henry Wayne Casey of Casey and the Sunshine Band, him having the very first number one of the 80s, a song called Please Don't Go. That song's not here. Well, his follow-up hit to that song was a duet with Terry DeSario. It's a song we've heard from before. The original version of it was a Barbara Mason hit back in 1965 called Yes, I'm Ready. That song went all the way up to number 5 and was song number 2657 on this countdown. Well, about 900 songs better, KC and Terry DeSario covered it and went all the way up to number 2. Kept out of the top spot on March 1st and March 8th of 1980 by Queen's Crazy Little Thing Called Love. It's another 80s tune, and it lands here at song number 1637. This is KC with Terry DeSario, and Yes, I'm Ready.
But I'm ready to learn. Yes, I'm ready to learn to hold your hand, make you understand, to hold your hand right now.
A charming little pop hit sung a second time that makes this countdown. That was KC and Terry DeSario. She had a solo career for a little while in the 70s, but never could crack the top 40 until she ran into her high school classmate, Henry Wayne Casey, and it's her only hit in the top 40. Now, KC has got several left. Him and his band, the Sunshine Band, actually had 5 number 1 hits and a number 2 hit. One of them we've heard from already, Get Down Tonight at song 2093. The other 4 and the number 2 we will hear later in this countdown. Well, the album was released in the 80s, even though the song charted in 1990, but it still counts as an 80s tune, don't you think? And it's from the new wave semi-punk band, the B-52s from Atlanta, Georgia. You know the B-52s. What's odd about them is most of their chart hits were from the 90s. Their big hit critically was from the 70s. Yet I always think of them as an 80s band. Isn't that weird? They had hit the charts with Rock Lobster in 78, but it only went up to 56. And then their song Private Idaho in 1980 peaked at 74. But those are well-known new wave alternative songs on those radio station circuits. They continued to perform throughout the 80s, but their breakthrough was the 1989 album Sonic Youth, which produced 4 top 40 hits, including 2 number 3 hits. The one that most people know was Love Shack. That peaked in 1989. In 1990 is this song, the song Rome. It lands right here at song 1636. This is the B-52s and their debut into this countdown with Rome. Featuring the beautiful duet harmonies of Kate Pearson and Cindy Wilson. Half the songs are them, the other half is Fred Schneider's goofy vocals, which are also really good, and you'll hear on Love Shack later. That was Rome, song number 1636 on Billboard's Top 3,000 Songs of All Time. I did a little bit of an experiment in my quest to find out the answer as to why we haven't had a number 1 song in the 80s until song number 1640. Remember, there are 231 of them, and we just heard the first one. Now, it's not that different from the 70s, who had 255 songs hit number 1, and we've only heard from about 20 of them. So we have about the same number of 80s number 1s and 70s number 1s, about 230. So it's not crazy that we haven't heard them yet. So my experiment was this. I took 6 sets of decades, if we're going to be comparing decades to decades as far as Billboard chart performance. I took the 50s and 60s, I took the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, and then the 10s and 20s. I then added up the chart numbers for the top 20 songs from each of those decade sets. I also added up the top 50, the top 100, the numbers 50 through 100, and the top 500, and then compared them. The lower the score, the better. Obviously, if you're the number 1 song, you get 1 point. Number 2, 2 points. So you add them up. Whoever has the lowest score is deemed the higher ranking decade. You want to know what the highest ones are? Well, if I added up the top 500 hits, the best decade is the 80s, followed by the 70s by quite a bit, both of them. If I ranked the top 100, if I added up the top 100 and the top 50, the 80s are in second place behind the teens and 20s. If I added up to the top 20, the 80s are fourth, meaning their best songs are not as good as other decades. But if you add the overall top 500, they are the best. Where I'm going with this is it's not surprising to have songs that hit number one from the 80s not be mentioned until we get to the middle stages of this countdown. You're going to hear slabs and slabs of number one songs from the 80s between the 800 and 1200, 1300 mark. And then it'll start to dry up just a little bit. And when we get to the top of the top, you're not going to hear a whole lot of 80s or 70s tunes. The top 100, the top 50 is dominated by the teens and 20s, the modern stuff, the ones that had the extra long stints at number one. By far the worst decade of the top 20 and the top 50 were the 50s and 60s, the oldies stuff. In particular, the 60s, they had long runs where not many songs were rated that high. I will present this data in the Facebook group so that you guys can take a look at it. By far the worst overall, I thought, were the aughts, and that really surprised me, considering there were so many songs that had long stints at number one. But also know that the 80s, we just heard Dirty Diana, we're not going to hear from another number one 80s song for another 3 or 4 podcasts from now. We're not going to get to the middle of that bell-shaped curve of number one hits till we hit the 1200, 1100 mark, and then we're going to hear a whole bunch more. So if you're an 80s number one fan, stay tuned till we get to the end of season 2. Now ask the question, what is your favorite song or one of your favorite songs from the 80s? Some of the responses, and this will be quicker because I asked people only to list one song. Jacqueline Coth Williams, my wife, mentioned With or Without You by U2. Robert Gonzalez says Say 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 by Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. Stephen Edlin, A View to a Kill by Duran Duran. George Kiervo says, okay, a couple of other possibilities were already mentioned, so this makes it easier to go with Wild Wild West by the Escape Club from 1988. Rodolfo Galindo Danielle says Every Breath You Take by The Police. Kenny High, Miss You Much by Janet Jackson. David Custer lists 3 in 3 separate posts. I'm only picking one. Do That to Me One More Time by Captain and Tennille. Elizabeth Armstrong, what a question, one song. West End Girls by the Pet Shop Boys. Fred Hawson, thank you. I Can't Go For That, No Can Do by Daryl Hall and John Oates. Joseph Toth lists Love Bites, the only number one from Def Leppard, and Anthony Velasquez says Forever Your Girl from Paula Abdul. We've hit the total spectrum of songs from 1982, 1989 already, and we will reveal more of your responses as we get later in this countdown. But now up to song number 1635. Henry Ray Ragsdale from Clarkdale, Georgia, otherwise known as Ray Stevens, is a country pop singer known for his comedic novelty songs throughout the 70s. And as early as 1961, he had the song Jeremiah Peabody's Polyunsaturated, Quick-Dissolving, Fast-Acting, Pleasant-Tasting Pills, which is the longest titled song that ever hit the top 40. He also has songs like Ahab the Arab, Harry the Hairy Ape, and Along Came Jones to his top 40 repertoire. He has the famous number one song, The Streak, which was one of the top songs of 1974, but he has another number one that was a much more serious and heartwarming tune called Everything is Beautiful from 1970. It spent 13 weeks in the top 40, and on May 30th and June 6th of 1970, it topped the charts. Lands here at song 1635. This is Ray Stevens' Welcome to the Countdown with Everything is Beautiful.
Everything is beautiful in its own way, like a starry summer night or a snow-covered winter's day. Sing it, children. Everybody's beautiful. Everybody's beautiful.
He is in a lot of musical Hall of Fames, including the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, the Georgia Music Hall of Fame, the Christian Music Hall of Fame, and the Country Music Hall of Fame. We get to hear him one more time with that famous song, The Streak. in season 3. For now, Everything is Beautiful, song number 1635 on Billboard's Top 3,000 Songs of All Time. Moving on to song number 1634, and the blues and pop band from Britain from the 60s and 70s called Jigsaw, which was fronted mainly by the duo of Clive Scott and Des Dyer. They released singles in the late 60s and early 70s, including Lollipop and Goody Man, I've Seen the Film, I've Read the Book, and Let Me Go Home, but never charted with any of it until the 1975 hit Sky High, which went all the way to number 3 in Australia, 3 in Canada, and 3 in the United States, as well as number 9 in their native Britain. In the United States, it spent 14 weeks in the top 40 in 1975, and it lands here at song number 1634. This is their one and only entry onto this countdown. This is Jigsaw with Sky High. Let's take a listen.
You've blown it all sky high. Our love had wings to fly. We could have touched the sky. You've blown it all sky high.
Now, they were much more of a blues rock band in the late 60s, but you can tell that they've leaned into the pop sensibilities of the 70s. That had disco to it as fitting in times with 1975. That was Sky High by Jigsaw, song number 1634. They had one other top 40 hit, follow-up hit called Love Fire that made it to number 30 in 1976, but that's the last that we've heard from them. But we got to hear this one hit, Sky High, song number 1634. That was Jigsaw. The album was 4, and the picture of the album featured the countdown to when a movie starts from 10 down to 2, and then you hear the little beep, it goes silent, and then the movie begins. It stops right at the number 4. I found the album picture fascinating and loved the album itself. I'm talking about Foreigner, a band we've heard from a lot already, and we will continue to hear a lot from. This is their 6th time on this countdown, following I Don't Want to Live Without You, Feels Like the First Time, Cold as Ice, Say You Will, and Double Vision. They have 4 songs left, peaking at each of the top 4 slots. He had a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, and a number 4. This is the number 4 hit off the album 4, called Urgent, and that wonderful Lou Gramm voice. Spent 17 weeks in the top 40, the second most of any of their songs, back in 1981, and it lands right here at song number 1633. We haven't heard Foreigner in a little bit, about 500 songs, so let's hear them now. This is Urgent, Foreigner.
Why you call me in the middle of the night? You say it's urgent, so urgent, so urgent, urgent, urgent. Just wait and see how urgent my love can be.
It started as just an opening riff without a song until producer Mutt Lang got a hold of it and worked with Foreigner, entered the charts on July 4th, peaked at number 4 for 4 weeks off the album 4. That was Urgent, song number 1633. Probably should have been 1644, but alas, it was just too good. It's 1633. Foreigner's got 3 songs left on this countdown. That was Urgent. Let's get out of the 80s for a little bit and into the modern era, 2012 to be more specific, and the Florida rapper aptly named Flo Rida. We heard him once with the song My House at song 2007, so this is his first season 2 song. Did you know of the 14 top 40 hits he had, 11 of them went top 10? It's a pretty good track record there, including this number 1 hit, the first of 3 number 1s, called Whistle. And you know he's a rapper, but he's got some damn good pop catchy hits. My House was one of them. Whistle's another one. If Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs were set to the hip-hop era, they might be singing Flo Rida. Amongst the 12 weeks in the top 10, he had 2 non-consecutive weeks at number 1. On August 25th and September 15th, 2012. It's song number 1632. This is Flo Rida with Whistle.
You just put your lips together and you come real close. Can you blow my whistle, baby? Whistle, baby. Here we go. Whistle, baby. Whistle, baby.
Carly Rae Jepsen's smash pop number one, Call Me Maybe, from the summer of 2012, was interrupted by Whistle, another catchy pop tune. Also in the top 3 that same week was Lights by Ellie Goulding. Talk about 3 incredible pop hits all at the same time. You think the 80s were coming back in 2012. That was Flo Rida with Whistle, song number 1632 on Billboard's top 3,000 songs of all time. He's got 4 songs left, 1 in season 2 and 3 in season 3, including the smash number 1, best song of 2008, Low. That'll be later. Song number 1631 is another rap song from 2009 this time. This isn't a catchy pop one. This is a little more hardcore rap from one of the great rap hip-hop artists of the 21st century, Drake. He's got 10 hits in this countdown. We just heard his first one, Hold On, We're Going Home, at song 1696, just a couple of podcasts ago. Well, he comes back with a number 2 hit called Best I Ever Had. No, not a remake of The Who's song Bargain. This is its own song. It had a 4-week run at number 2 in July and August of 2009, kept out of the top spot in the thick of the Black Eyed Peas' run of I Got a Feeling. It was never going to pass that song, but it was good enough to spend 20 weeks in the top 40 and land right here at song 1631. This is Drake with Best I Ever Had.
I say you the best, you the best, you the best, you the best, best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever had. I say you the you. Know you got a roommate, call me when there's no one there, put the key under the mat and you know I'll be over there.
I'm still looking over his catalog of 109 top 40 hits in awe, something I'd never thought would ever approach Elvis Presley's mark. And here we go. He actually might pass him up. That was Drake in song number 1631, Best I Ever Had. He's got 8 more songs in this countdown, spread lavishly through seasons 2 and seasons 3. That was Drake. And we are halfway done with this set. The year is 1982, my favorite year of the rock and roll era, as I've mentioned many, many times. Olivia Newton-John is fresh off her number 1 hit Physical and her follow-up hit Make a Move on Me when she releases her Greatest Hits Volume 2. And it had all of her hits after 1977, which were plenty, including 2 new songs. One of them being this hit, Heart Attack, a number 3 hit that is catchy and poppy and a little sexy as Olivia Newton-John was remaking her image. And it lands right here at song number 1630, another 80s tune for you in this set. It's Olivia Newton-John and Heart Attack.
You only knew what you're putting me through. It feels like a heart attack. You're giving me a heart attack. A heart attack. You're giving me a heart attack.
It spent 13 weeks in the top 40, 7 of those in the top 10. When we talk about female pop artists of the 80s, we talk about Madonna a lot. We talk about Diana Ross and Whitney Houston. But I think Olivia Newton-John should get some love too, even though she didn't have big hits in the late 80s. Between the late 70s and the early 80s, she was as good as it was, especially the song Physical, 10 weeks number 1. No other female pop artist could match that until Whitney Houston's 1993 hit, I Will Always Love You. That was Heart Attack, song number 1630 on Billboard's top 3,000 songs of all time. She's got 9 hits left. She isn't going anywhere. Spread out through seasons 2 and season 3. All of them solo hits except for the one duet with John Travolta. I bet you know which that one is. Seeing that we're on the theme of 80s number 1 hits, I'm going to give you a small morsel of a future podcast hit. I don't do this very often, but there are 231 number 1 hits of the 80s. My particular list has 229 because I mark any song that debuts in the specific year as its official year. If you remember your statistics classes in college, the median is the middle one. And in this case, it's the 115th best number 1 song of the 80s. And I wanted to give that to you and where it currently stands. That song, the 115th, the middle of all the number 1 hits of the 80s, is David Bowie's Let's Dance. and that is song number 615, 615. I'm not going to mention it again, but when we get to that podcast of the 620s through 601, you will know that song number 615 is Let's Dance by David Bowie. Why do I say this? It means that there are 114 songs that are below song number 615. And there's 114 songs that are above 615. Now, the mean, the average, if I added up all of the chart numbers and divided it by 229, you get 634, which is slightly higher than the median, which means you're going to see a lot of racks of them in the 800, 900, 1,000 range. Sorry if this is getting too mathematical for you, but it's a further deep dive into all the wonderful number one hits we're going to hear from the 80s. Again, the next one we're not going to hear for about 3 podcasts from now. Stay tuned. More listener responses to one of your favorite songs from the 80s. Remember, just one, Elizabeth Reed. Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes. That's a very popular one, seeing that it was 9 weeks number one in 1981. Mark N's list Sailing by Christopher Cross from 1980. Rhonda Work, The Reflex, Duran Duran. We've already had one other Reflex. Christine Fenninger, thank you for listing We Built This City by Starship. So many folks have bashed it as a bad 80s number one hit, but I've always disagreed with it. I always liked it as a pop tune, and I'm glad that's one of your favorites. Kevin Brown lists Addicted to Love by Robert Palmer. Richard Congram lists Every Breath You Take by The Police. Still crank it up every time it comes on. Tara Morrison says it's so hard to pick, but Don't You Forget About Me from Simple Minds. It's the main theme to the Breakfast Club soundtrack, one of definitely Gen X's signature movies and one of my favorites. Micah Shaw lists Magic by the aforementioned Olivia Newton-John. That was another hit from the 80s, and Joseph Ayers agrees. Said it's her sexiest song, even sexier than Physical. Interesting. Marcela Nunez says Call Me by Blondie. We're picking the big ones, man. The number one song of 1980. Scott Weiner, We Are the World, USA for Africa. Still interested in listening to this whole song every time it comes on the radio, which is very rare these days. I agree. And if you haven't seen the documentary on it on streaming, I forget which channel, watch it. It is fantastic. And it brings you back to those memories. Daily Carrasco says Beat It by Michael Jackson. D. Glencairn, on any level, Celebration by Kool and the Gang is one of the top 3 songs of the 80s and gets my top Gong for Song That Just Sticks in Your Head award. Don Loge's Woman in Love by Barbra Streisand and Barry Gibb. And Jack T. Smith said he has many, but today he'll choose The Reflex by Duran Duran. There will be more listener responses later in this podcast. Now we get out of the 80s and go to song number 1629, but not too far from the 80s. It's a 70s hit, and it's a sensual folk pop hit that a music critic said it's so sensual and evocative, and it may be responsible for the most pregnancies from a record during the mid-70s. I'm talking about Midnight at the Oasis by singer Maria Muldaur, her full name being Maria Grazia Rosa Domenico D'Amato, from New York City, a folks blues singer who has released 40 studio albums over the last 50-plus years, but only 2 hits that actually made it onto the top 40. A number 12 hit, I'm a Woman, from 1975, and Midnight at the Oasis, a number 6 song. So a number 6 alert. It's the 11th biggest song in Billboard history that peaked at number 6. This is song number 1629, Maria Muldaur, Midnight at the Oasis.
Midnight at the Oasis, send your camel to bed. Shadows painting our faces, traces of romance in our heads.
Do I detect a slight country twang in that song? I don't know. It's just a pretty song, one that you can curl up with your significant other in bed and have a good smoke. That was Midnight at the Oasis, Maria Muldaur. with song number 1629 on Billboard's Top 3,000 Songs of All Time. Moving on to song number 1628. I had mentioned earlier that 1987 has more hits on this Top 3,000 countdown than any song in the rock era. We have two of them in this set. The first one comes now, and it's a one-hit wonder by the English pop band T'Pau. Now, I say one-hit wonder, that's really for the United States. They were quite successful in their native UK, with 11 hits hitting the top 100, and in Ireland they had 8 hit the top 40. Interestingly enough, their most successful hit internationally was a song called China in Your Hand, also from 1987, that hit number 1 in 6 countries, but never charted in the United States. No, the one song that made it onto the charts and went all the way up to number 4 was a song called Heart and Soul. And there's a lot of vocal overdubbing in this song, from the main chorus to the vocals, which are partially rapped by singer Carol Decker, along with harmonies from Decker. So sometimes you had 3 or 4 different dubbed vocals all competing against each other for a nice harmony. It was a good song, a good pop hit that I definitely remember from that magical year of 1987. It lands right here at song number 1628. Let's take a listen, shall we? This is T'Pau with Heart and Soul. The name T'Pau comes from a Vulcan in the TV series Star Trek. It's their one song on this countdown, Heart and Soul, and it's song number 1628. Moving on to song number 1627, and we go back to the 70s and Gladys Knight and the Pips. We heard them once already just as the Pips with Every Beat of My Heart at song 2777, and then as Gladys Knight and the Pips with Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me at song number 1798, just a few podcasts ago. Well, they're back with a number 4 hit that spent 13 weeks in the top 40 called I've Got to Use My Imagination. They weren't shy about using long song titles. No one-word titles for Gladys Knight and the Pips. It lands here at song number 1627. This is Gladys Knight and the Pips.
I've really got to use my imagination to think of good reasons to keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. Got to make the best of.
They can really groove it up a bit. I got to use my imagination. Number 1 on the pop soul. Number 1 on the soul charts in 1973 and number 4 on the pop charts in 1973. That was Gladys Knight and her Pips with I've Got to Use My Imagination, song number 1627 on Billboard's Top 3,000 Songs of All Time. They've got 3 songs left, all with more than one word in the title, including the number 2 hit, Neither One of Us Wants to Be the First to Say Goodbye. That's a long one. That's coming up in season 2. And now we get to song 1626, and it might be one of my favorite 80s stories of this entire countdown, because when it came out in 1985, it only spent 4 weeks in the charts and peaked at number 30. And it wasn't heard from again in the 80s, or the 90s, or the aughts, or even the teens. But in the 20s, it came back, went all the way up to number 5, and spent enough weeks on the charts to actually make it to this countdown in song 1626. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about English singer, songwriter, musician, dancer, record producer Kate Bush, and her only entrance in the top 40 called Running Up That Hill. It became popular in the streaming series Stranger Things, which is incredibly popular. And it features a lot of 80s music, including one of the themes, this particular song, that one of the characters used to kind of ground herself to reality. And it's featured prominently throughout the last 2 seasons, so much so that the Generation Z and Alpha folks picked up on it and made it as popular as it is today. This is song number 1626, Kate Bush and Running Up That Hill.
And make a deal with God, and I get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. See if only cool.
A side personal note, I was in a play about 12 years ago, a very dark, sadistic play called Closetland. It was a two-person play where I played a very, very evil interrogator. And the theme music before and after the show was all Kate Bush songs. Because of her eclectic and eccentric nature, which can be downright creepy if you listened to an entire album. That was Running Up That Hill, song number 1626. One other note, Kate Bush owns the rights to that song and every aspect of that song, the video, everything, all of the producing. So all of the money that was made during the Stranger Things run all went to Kate Bush. And I admire that in her, because she took control of it and got a really big payoff for her. It's her only hit on this countdown, and I'm glad it was because I really wanted to tell that story. That was Kate Bush, song number 1626. DeAndre Cortez Way is a Chicago rapper known professionally as Soulja Boy or Soulja Boy Tell 'Em. And he is a self-made star who used the mid-stages of the internet to promote himself to perfection, so much so that it got him 2 top 10 hits, including a number 1, Crank That, which was one of the biggest songs of the aughts. He was able to use computer applications and the internet to create and promote his own beat tracks, and was putting out songs even before he turned the age of 15. Quite the entrepreneur. There's a book that I enjoy and use as a reference called The Number Ones by Tom Brean that has a whole section just on Soulja Boy and the song Crank That and how it springboarded a movement of creating your own beats and songs, posting to the internet and getting famous off of it. In addition to Crank That, Soulja Boy Tell 'Em had a number 3 hit in 2009 called Kiss Me Through the Phone. It spent 20 weeks in the top 40, and it lands right here at song number 1625. Let's hear some of that. This is Soulja Boy Tell 'Em and Kiss Me Through the Phone.
Kiss you, but I can't right now, so baby, kiss me through the phone. Kiss me through the phone. I'll see you later on. Kiss me through the phone. Kiss me through the phone. See you when I get home.
Baby, I know that you like me. You my future wifey.
Featuring R&B singer Sammy singing the chorus while Soulja Boy raps it. That was Kiss Me Through the Phone, song number 1625 on Billboard's Top 3,000 Songs of All Time. I've mentioned a couple of times, but I will say it one more. Crank That was a number 1 hit that will be late in season 3. That was a heck of a song. I had mentioned, I think, at the beginning of the podcast that there weren't many songs, or if any songs, that were before 1970. Here is the one exception from 1963. It's the best hit on the pop charts in the illustrious career of Andy Williams. He only has 2 songs on this countdown, despite having 23 top 40 hits from 1959 through 1972, although it won't stay the best song because he's got 2 Christmas hits. It's The Most Wonderful Time and Happy Holiday, which, because of the way that Christmas songs can get recharted year after year, it's eventually going to pass all of it up. But for now, this is his best hit called Can't Get Used to Losing You, a number 2 hit from 1963 that spent 12 weeks in the top 40, kept out of the top spot by 2 different songs in its 4-week stint between April 13th and May 4th, 1963. The first 2 weeks by He's So Fine by the Chiffons, and the second 2 weeks by I Will Follow Him by Little Peggy March. It lands right here at song 1624, Andy Williams, and the best song of his career and the highest one on this countdown, Can't Get Used to Losing You.
I'll find some crowded avenue, though it will be empty without you. Can't get used to losing you, no matter what I try to do. Gonna live my whole life through.
This is a song that was covered quite a bit. Patti Page did it in 1963. Paul Anka did a cover of this song. Chad and Jeremy did a cover of this song in 1965. Amen Corner did a cover of this song. And The Beat in 1980 did a reggae cover of this song. And in the UK, it went all the way to number 3. Andy Williams, and that voice is so distinctive, probably because of the Christmas tunes. He has song number 1624 as we say farewell to him on this countdown, Can't Get Used to Losing You. Now, here is one of the most 80s song of all the 80s songs you're going to hear, not just in this set, but in the entire decade of the 80s. It is constantly played in rotation on 80s channels, I know because I listen to them, and I think folks would probably be surprised that this song never got higher than number 5 on the Billboard charts because it was so popular. I'm talking about English singer Thomas Dolby. He was actually born Tom Robertson, but he changed his stage name to Dolby not to be confused with another Tom Robertson, another British singer who was popular at the time. Dolby, the noise reduction laboratory, is exactly where he took it from. He had his first album in 1982 and had several albums throughout the 80s. He only had one top 40 hit in the United States, and it's this one called She Blinded Me with Science. Oddly enough, in his native UK, where he's had 19 top 100 hits, this only peaked at 49 in the UK, although it went to number 1 in Canada and number 5 in the United States. And like I said, it's an 80s staple, and it lands here at song number 1623. Thomas Dolby with his one and only single in this countdown, She Blinded Me with Science. The older gentleman who is shouting exclamations like science and she blinded me with science throughout the song is named Magnus Pyle, who is an actual scientist. And the urban legend goes that he didn't want to stay in the United States because people kept running up to him and just shouting science. I don't know if that's true or not, but boy, does that sound great. That was Thomas Dolby with She Blinded Me with Science, song number 1623 on Billboard's top 3,000 songs of all time. And what a great hit that is. I'm really glad we were talking about it in a podcast where we're diving exclusively into 80s hits. One last go around from our listeners as to a great song that was a number 1 hit in the 80s. Tim Little, No Contest, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. I played that song for my daughter when she was a baby, and we did a father-daughter dance to it at her wedding reception 25 years later. Very sweet story. Mark Hayford, So Unfair, is going to side with Mitch Worthington, who said everybody wants to rule the world. By the way, Mitch Worthington says everybody wants to rule the world. Matt Geske, when I first started listening to music in 82, I heard and saw on MTV a song that is in my top 10 of all time, Centerfold, Jay Giles Band. I still get instantly happy every time I hear it. I agree with you, Matt. Awesome song. Rich Gomez, Jacob's Ladder, a very unheralded number 1 hit from Huey Lewis and the News. That was actually written by Bruce Hornsby in The Range. We'll get to that when we get to it. Joe Aguinaldo, I'm going to go with Take On Me by A-ha. Pam Turlow's Just Like Starting Over by John Lennon. Robert Brittenham, Wishing Well by Terence Trent D'Arby. Dan Ruskin, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, another one. Aaron McCracken, The Next Time I Fall by Peter Cetera and Amy Grant. Albert Navarro lists Funky Town by Lips Inc. Lansing Steiner, When Doves Cry, Prince and the Revolution. There's something about that infectious intro with the guitar synthesizer and Prince's voice that just makes me instantly crank it up. Love it. Robin Klutz Collins lists Sailing by Christopher Cross, another one that says that. Careless Whisper by Wham! George Michael is Steve Ruskin's selection. Tim Jones is Just One, huh? Upside Down, Diana Ross from 1980. Bill Yates says When Doves Cry by Prince. Jim Robertson says Too Many, but to just name one, Open Your Heart by Madonna, which is my favorite Madonna song. Good choice. Steve Johnson Oliveros, Flashdance, What a Feeling. Love me some Irene Cara. These are some big hits. Andrew Davis says Keep on Loving You by REO Speedwagon. Scott Yates, You're Killing Me, Smalls. Okay, just one. Africa by Toto. We're going to be hearing that song not too far in the future. Just a hint. Chris Heiser, my absolute favorite 80s song is Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes. Jeffrey Mosher says Out of Touch by Daryl Hall and John Oates. Thank you. Another great Hall and Oates hit. Victor Cruz, Every Breath You Take by The Police, the number 1 song of 83. And Pete Mercia, George Michael's One More Try. Thank you, everybody. All of these are going to be hearing later on this countdown, of course, as future number one songs of the 80s in Season 2 and Season 3, although a lot of them Season 3. And remember, if you do respond to these questions in the Facebook group, you could be in this podcast. Let's go finish up this set, shall we? Song number 1622. We've heard from Major Lazer once on this countdown, just a few podcasts ago. It's song 1833 in his collaboration with DJ Snake, the song Lean On. Well, he has a solo effort as his best hit, a number 2 hit from 2016 called Cold Water. Spent 25 weeks in the top 40, kept out of the top spot during 3 stints at the number 2 position throughout the summer of 2016, first by Cheap Thrills by Sia, and then Closer by the Chainsmokers. It lands right here at song 1622, the best song of Major Lazer's career. This is Cold Water.
If you feel you're sinking, I will jump right over into cold, cold water for you. And although time may take us into different places, I will still be patient with you.
You're probably thinking, wait, that sounds like Justin Bieber. Well, it is. Major Lazer's band members Diplo, Walshy, Fire, and 8 Drums featuring Justin Bieber. And that collaboration equals a number 2 hit and song number 1622. It's the last time we're going to hear the electronic dance music and DJ group Major Lazer. They have 2 hits in the top 2000. And now we hit song number 1621 and the best song in this set. What's it going to be? Who is going to win the drum roll? Well, it has to be an 80s song, doesn't it? Of course it does. More specifically, it has to be a 1987 hit because I mentioned earlier that there were 2 songs from 1987, the first being Heart and Soul by T'Pau, so you already know the year. It's a one-hit wonder, too, by a Southern rock band, and it's maybe the most fun Southern rock song I have ever heard in my entire life. It's a good classic 70s style rock and roll hit with great guitar and very funny lyrics. It's about a guy who wants his girlfriend to give him some huggy and some kissy, and yet she won't because they're not married. You know this one now, don't you? Song number 1621, and the best song in this set are the Georgia Satellites. Keep your hands to yourself.
You know I'm still your lover boy. I still feel the same way. That's when she told me the story about free milk and a cow, and said no hooky, no kissy until I get a wedding vow. My honey, my baby, don't put my love upon no shelf. She said don't hand me no lines and keep your hands to yourself.
Kept out of the top spot for a single week on February 21st, 1987 by Bon Jovi's smash Living on a Prayer. That part I get. That was a smash. What I don't get is why they never had another top 40 hit. They had a couple hit the top 100, Battleship Chains and Hippie Hippie Shake. Yet this was the only one hit top 40. I'm so glad it did, though, because this is one of the best songs of the 80s. Keep Your Hands to Yourself by Georgia Satellites, song number 1621 on Billboard's Top 3,000 Songs of All Time. And that will do it for another wonderful set of 20 songs. I want to thank Jeffrey Mosher, Robert Rusk, and Mitch Worthington for without their efforts and help, this podcast couldn't be the best it could be. But most of all, I want to thank you, the listener, for listening to 69 episodes. Thank you so much for doing so. I will be back in 2 weeks. I have a personal event to attend, so that will give all of those that have fallen behind a bit a chance to catch up. But I can't wait to get to it, as once we're done, we'll be up to song 1600. And there's another great bank of 80s and 70s hits in the next set of 20. Can't wait for you to join me on this. As I do with every episode, I will end it by playing a montage of the clips that we have just heard, all to 20 songs. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you are enjoying your summer, and we'll talk to you soon. It is one of the great pleasures in life to connect with people, both through voice or through song. I hope I've done both. And so on, and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Good day.
I have the stuff that you want. I am the thing that you need. She looked me deep in the eyes. She touching me so to start. She says there's no turning back. She got me yelling. I'm dirty,
Yes, I'm ready to learn to hold your hand, make you understand, to hold your hand right now.
The trip begins with a kiss. Roam if you want to. Roam around the world. Roam if you want to. Without wings, without wheels.
Everything is beautiful in its own way, like a starry summer night or a snow-covered winter's day. Ah, sing it, children. Everybody's beautiful. You've blown it all sky high. Our love had wings to fly. We could have touched the sky. You've blown it all sky high. That's why you call me in the middle of the night. You say it's urgent, so urgent, so urgent, urgent, urgent. Just wait and see how urgent my love can be. You just put your lips together and you come real close. Can you blow my whistle, baby? Whistle, baby. Here we go. Whistle, baby. Whistle, baby. Whistle, baby. Whistle, baby.
I say you the best, you the best, you the best, you the best, you the best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever had. I say you. Know you got a roommate, call me when there's no one there. Put the key under the mat and you know I'll be over there.
If you only knew what you're putting me through, it feels like a heart attack. You're giving me a heart attack. A heart attack. You're giving me a heart attack. Midnight at the oasis. Send your camel to bed. Shadows painting our faces. Traces of romance in our heads.
Won't you please try to give a little bit of heart and soul? Give a little bit of love to grow. Give a little bit of heart and soul. And don't you make me beg for more. Give a sign I need to know. A little bit of heart and soul.
I've really got to use my imagination to think of good reasons to keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
Got to make the best of.
If only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. See if only could kiss you, but I can't right now. So baby, kiss me through the phone. Kiss me through the phone. I'll see you later on, later on. Kiss me through the phone. Kiss me through the phone. See you when I get home.
Baby, I know that you like me, you my future wifey.
I'll find some crowded avenue, though it will be empty without you. Can't get used to losing you no matter what I try to do. Gonna live my whole life through.
Poetry in motion. When she turned her eyes to me, deep as any ocean, sweet as any harmony. She blinded me with science. She blinded me with science.
And if you feel you're to different places, I will still be patient with you.
You know I'm still your lover boy. I still feel the same way. That's when she told me the story about free milk and a cow, and said no hooky, no kissy until I get a wedding vow. My honey, my baby, don't put my love up on no shelf. She said don't hand me no lines and keep your hands to yourself.